Join me today as we explore the structures and events that create Exusia and their culture. Today we'll be focusing on the most important location to any Exusian, their hometown, New-Sybada. This pyramid is believed to be the oldest structure in New-Sybada, predating the original settlers of the Bai Federation. Many attempts to preserve the location have been made, but it wasn't until the location be declared a National Heritage Site that the people would focus on maintaining the structure. The original intent of the Exusia was for it to be a library for the Bai Federation. Originally designed by Gabe Deridia, the structure would only be finished right before the collapse of the Bai Federation, leaving this library to decay over time. While these mini temples may look unimportant, or this oasis may look messy, these two locations are where the founders of New-Sybada would first reside. After having to flee from their island nation Yurki, Exusia founders Vianney, Murdius, Wise Nifty, and Slimescene would take refuge in these temples, fishing from the oasis for food. While Slimescene negotiated with the owners of the land for permission to buy the land or enter a vassalship agreement, the other founders worked hard, recruiting more citizens and improving the basic resources. While this desert looked empty and hostile, the founders of Exusia would create their first claim on February 13th, 2022, marking the creation of New-Sybada. After successfully negotiating for a piece of land, Slimescene and the rest of the founders would do a mass recruitment strategy. It was during this brief period of mass recruitment that many of the notable figures would first join New-Sybada. Due to the only experienced players being the founders, these new players would form a strong community together, helping each other gather materials for each other's houses and planning ambitious projects together. With new citizens means the need for more houses. The land which New-Sybada controlled would be expanded, but due to Slimescene's having a lack of funds, New-Sybada remained a very small area, causing many of the new players to either live together along a single street or live below each other. Some of the players around during this time who would go on to become notable members of Exusia were Zerop, TV Manic, Toasty David, 2, 11D7, Ashby Clay, Melman, Vulcanson, and Driver. Also, honorable mention for people who showed up later on: Tofa, Chuanchao, Silox, and Zhu123. Only 2 weeks after creation, and with the nation expanding in power, an issue started to arise. The government was unsure of who the rightful leader was. Both Murdius and Slimescene, two of the founders of Sybada, saw themselves as the leader. The founders decided to put who should be leader up to a vote, with the vote quickly going in Slimescene's favor, though the vote would be nearly tied as the time to vote shrunk. Before the vote ended, Slimescene would receive votes from brand new players who had joined Exusia and voted for him. Murdius would accuse Slimescene of manipulating players for votes, a claim that Slimescene denied. This caused the nation and its citizens to take sides, with Murdius supporters making their own claim on Exusia land over the Exusia, a building that many Exusian people had ignored previously. The Exusia would become the head building for Murdius supporters, which had begun to accumulate power. Slowly, the other two founders of Exusia would join Murdius' side, along with the majority of the citizens. This would prompt Slimescene to attempt to sell the nation to the Valpyrium, then eventually hand the nation over to them for free, and leave the nation himself. Murdius and the other Exusia founders would begin to rebuild the nation that Slimescene had abandoned. The government used this small victory over Slimescene to motivate their citizens to work harder. After their success over Slimescene, many new houses and roads would be made in Sybada, with Sybada eventually expanding over the Lukai Island located north of the Exusia. This island was different from the desert because of the grass and dirt located on the island. With Sybada becoming a well-developed town, Exusia struggled to break free from Valpyrium and receive independence. But during this mess of independence, Slimescene would return and claim to own the island of Lukai. The Exusia government would retaliate by guarding the island constantly to attempt to see if Slimescene would attack. Instead, Slimescene would hold a citizen of Exusia hostage, causing for the Exusia government to prepare for war. Slimescene claimed to have an army with him to take the island and eventually destroy Sybada, though after further research, the Exusia government found that Slimescene was bluffing. In reality, he only had an army of 4 mercs who he had hired with some money he managed to scrape together. Upon this news, the Exousian government remained cautious, but continued on focusing on producing armor sets and making money. Slimestein, realizing he couldn't win, abandoned the fort he had constructed on the island and left Exusia again. Again, this victory motivated the people of Sybada to celebrate and push for independence of Exusia from the Valpyrium. In July of 2022, Exusia would officially declare independence following the approaching EA war against Valpyrium. With secret support from Squiding, the Valpyrium finally granted Exusia independence. The people of Sybada rejoiced because their land was no longer that of the Valpyrium, but that of their own. It was during this time that the Exusia people began to focus on their culture, writing history books about history involving Yerki and their civil war. They also began to create a language of their own, as well as make many changes to New-Sybada, even naming their main street Yerki Street. On July 13th, 2022, a massive party was held at the Ventilzia, where the people of Sybada rallied together to kill Wither, planting a beacon in front of the Ventilzia. As the EA war raged on, the people of Sybada celebrated. The next few months would be referred to as the Golden Age of Sybada and the Exousian people. After many months of hard work, December approached. Exusia had gone many months without issues aside from the occasional rivalry with Slimestein's nation of Redwing. Sybada had been beloved by all the citizens of Exusia. It was the heart of the nation. Exusia culture was nothing without New-Sybada. New-Sybada reflected the culture of Exusia. It wasn't a perfect town, it wasn't the richest town, but every house was unique, yet flowed together. The resilience of the Exusian people had created a town in which all the exiles could call home. In the start of January, Exusia would be asked to merge with the nations of New Demacia and Neo-Bai. Due to Neo-Bai being a revival of the Bai Federation, both Neo-Bai and Exusia had a very similar culture, and Exusia had based some of their traditions on old Bai Federation traditions. The three nations came together to form Viscaldi, meaning the land of the exiles in both the New Demacia and Exusia language. After Viscaldi merged into Vindara, the city of Sybada would go quiet, believing they were better off as a smaller nation and not a large nation, such as Vindara, though many Sybada citizens kept to themselves with their grievances. Events in Sybada were slow, but after the collapse of Vindara, Exusia would declare independence, greatly reviving the town of Sybada, for once again, the Exusians were exiled from Vindara. So, what lies in store for the future of Sybada? It is unknown, though it is for sure that the sands of Sybada will never rest, and so will its people. Perhaps Sybada is more than a town. Perhaps Sybada is just one big community of friends who've stuck together for so long they refuse to let this desert town die.